Hey there, paper geeks and glitter nerds, it's another crazy geek crafter. This week's card is well, it's not interactive, but it is a pop-up card. The materials I'm using are not exactly new, so if you want to recreate this card, maybe don't go looking for the pattern paper the pattern paper that I've used, for instance, because it's years old. And the same with the blue cardstocks that I'm using. I don't know when I bought them. It's at least 5 years, if not more. And I don't have the brands on them. But the concept is easily usable. Of course, all the dies I'm using are currently available, but most of them are Danish companies, so you may not be able to purchase them where you live, but you may be lucky that someone keeps them. There are a few shops outside of Denmark in Europe, though, who keeps them. Now, I actually ended up making 2 of this card, kind of, since I thought I had cut these wrong. I hadn't. I could still use them, actually. So I had to find another piece of pattern paper. I picked this one with the little ships on, and it's cute and everything, but one problem. I don't have any boats, die cuts or stamps or otherwise. So I didn't really have a focal point that fit in with the theme. That's why I had to change it later on, but the process is the same. Cut a square, cut it down the middle to make it easier for the card to bend. And then now I'm making the frame. That is the part that will pop up, and that is also why I'm making more than one to strengthen it. And I picked the blue colors from this pattern paper, but luckily they fit with the other one as well. This card is for a boy who got his name. It's Mess, as you see on the card. The name is on the shorter side, so I could use my largest alphabet dice to cut out his name. That was a bonus. Had his name been Alexander or something long like that, Christopher, then I would have had to go with a smaller font. But for this name, this was perfect. Now, this is a mashup of 2 designs I saw floating around Facebook at the time. One was the angled pop-up card, easel card, angled easel card, and the other one was made with the standard easel, but with the hole cut out and then these objects floating in space when you popped up the card. The design itself is not, in my opinion, that complicated, but I was very adamant about wanting to use this paper pack. I've had it for, like I say, years and years, and I really need to finish it so that I can allow myself to go buy some new pattern paper for kids' cards and the like. I love the papers in this pack for many reasons, but they are very theme specific, some of them, and I've had trouble using them. Then there's also the whole, if I use this piece, I won't be able to use it anymore. So I'll just try to show you that you have to remember not to cut the hole all the way through the card. You have to open the card up when you run it through the die cutting machine, so you only cut the front when you do the hole for it. For this version, I decided to glue the circle back inside. I was hoping I could use it to actually keep the easel up. I have kept this card. It's in with the pattern paper. If I ever find out what to put in it, then it's actually almost done. Just need to make a new ring and the decorations, and then the card is ready to go. Like I said, I doubled, tripled the cardstock so that the ring would be nice and stable. It was going to hold up the name of the recipient, so that was important to me. And you have to remember where your ring goes before you put it down. Just friendly advice. It did work out. I didn't ruin it completely. Now I had thought that I was going to put mice on this card because I wanted an animal with an M, but the boats were just throwing me off. It's very nice paper, and the boats are totally cute, but yeah, it just didn't work for me. I think maybe I have to look into getting a either a die set or a stamp set with boats, which sounds absurd when you think about it, that I want to buy it just so I can use this pattern paper, but hopefully they'll have other uses. I will be doubling up mesh as well to make sure that it's stable and it doesn't get ruined too easily when handled. So I kept working with the mice idea and the boats here. It didn't work for me, unfortunately. I have all these mice, so I'm trying to find something to use them for. They are from a wedding card, and I had quite a few extras. And I will find something to do with them, but I really couldn't find any die cuts that would fit with the theme of the boat. I did run through everything trying to find something that would work. And balloons, of course, are very baby and party related, but I just didn't feel they tied in well enough with the boats. So I decided to scrap it and then start over, and I was actually thinking that I was going to have to cut a new front with the other pattern paper, the one with the numbers and the animals, but that was when I found out that I actually panicked for no reason before. I hadn't actually cut it wrong. I think my brain malfunctioned for a minute there. It happens sometimes, I think, for everyone. But I'm checking and making sure that I'm doing the angle right on the card to fit with what I have in the pattern paper. And this paper was apparently not at all squared off. So I had to make quite a few adjustments to make it fit. But in the end, it all worked out. And since I hadn't glued down the circle with mesh on it, I didn't have to redo that part. I could just transfer it to this one because it would still fit with the blue colors of this pattern paper. So that's at least lucky for me. Don't worry, you don't need the big measurement. I was doing some construction calculations for redoing my living room, so that's why it's in the picture. But I decided to put subtext on the circle saying congratulations with your name. On your name? On your name. That would be on your name. And that requires quite a lot of letters, which I have to cut out and fiddle around with. I'll have to lose the tittle on the eye because it will be floating in midair and I don't want to put acetate behind it. So I made that decision, at least to make my life a little bit easier. But this is going to take a minute, so I'll just leave you with some music. Luckily, I had kept the die around that I was going to need to cut the hole in the card. Oh my god, my brain is so not working today. And once again, remember to open the card if you want to make a hole in the front only. It's very important and something that can easily be forgotten when you have an off day. Yeah, I remembered both times for these cards, but I wouldn't put it past me to forget in the future. Now, a lot of the animals did get cut when I did this, and that's too bad. But I decided not to put the circle in the middle here. It just didn't fit for me. And I could also have taken a piece of the same pattern paper, put on the inside, but again, I didn't feel that was the right way to go. So now I'm testing out some more blue colors. Again, all of these are just stash items. I have no names on them or color codes or anything. So, but then again, you can't buy the pattern paper I'm using anyway, so you're going to have to make your own way. And since this card had a bit of a problem in the beginning with the sizes, I have to cut down the piece by the eye. Just in my case, I make a tiny white border around the inside. Now with this more generic theme, I figured I could use these stars from Fawn. They're very cutesy and in my opinion fits great for baby cards. So that's what I'm going to use as a decorative floating piece in the middle of my circle. I was a bit bummed out when I stood this card up after gluing it and seeing that the middle star is actually too heavy for the lamination sheet that I used for stabilizing. I should have run the piece completely through the circle to make sure it wouldn't bow that much, but at this point I didn't want to redo it, to be honest. But that's a thing to remember, always test if your object is too heavy. I maybe could have left off the back side of the star, make it less heavy, but no. That I like that it was finished from both sides, since this is a 3D piece. You might have a recipient put it somewhere where someone will see the back side, and then it's important that it looks at least somewhat nice. Now I have to find out a way to make the card stand up, and I decide against the circle you saw before, and for making more stars. I'm going to need the inside piece of the smallest star in this cluster, because I wanted something very tiny that I could hide behind the other stars when the card was closed. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to do this twice, because the first stopper I make goes flying. And actually only found it here a few weeks ago. This card was made in the beginning of January, and it wasn't until somewhere in February that I found out where that star had flown off to. So, but you live and you learn. I was very careful the second time around to not lose it when I was gluing it together, or lose it when I was die cutting it, which I did right here. It was at the end of the project, and I really just wanted it to be finished. When you're in pain and is tired, then things go wrong. That's what I learned, at least. And that was it. That was the shooting star that never came back. Almost. So let's cut it again, and be very, very careful not to lose it. The end. This was how I made Mess's card, and well, it took quite a while. I am quite happy with the result. There's some things I would change, but all in all, this was a very cute card in my opinion. I hope you enjoyed it, that you'll be back for another one. Until then, I hope you'll be having a good day, evening or night.